Hi, Shamara.
Oh,
Alrighty, how's it going?
it is going. I very much apologize. I have done nothing towards today.
Aw, that's all right. That's okay. We'll do some good work today. So, what are some of your reflections on our last session? What was working
No,
well?
last time. I don't know nothing. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
I remember we were doing commercial stuff. I remember we
Yes.
had maybe one or two that we didn't complete.
Okay, yeah. Right. Yep,
Um,
we had a few more that we didn't quite get to last time. So what would you say for today if you set a goal for yourself? What would that goal be?
to be here. I made I made my goal. My goal was to make it, and I'm here.
Awesome.
I know that doesn't help you, and I'm very sorry. I apologize. I know that it is not polite.
Oh, it's okay. So one of the things that we were talking about when we signed off last time was that a large majority of the commercial scripts are going to be working on more of a happy kind of mood. So some vein of that, right? Like it could be excited, it could be joyful, it could be inspiring, right? Something that's a happier emotion. But every now and then we'll also have some that have a very different flavor or feel to them, right? Like one could be more bittersweet, one could be sad, one could be more like firm and strong and protective, one could be something like it could be something educational and it's um motivating you to do something but for a whole different reason than just enjoying something, right? So different kinds of emotions than just like a general happy mood. um so, like for instance, you could have like a bittersweet tone for something that maybe is more nostalgic. You could have more like compassionate or sad, like a funeral home or a retirement home or maybe a hospital. More like caretaking and compassionate. You could have an attorney who's like, we're here to protect you and fight for you, or maybe an insurance company who it's kind of like a similar thing, like, you have us so that we take care of those things that you don't want to deal with, or like, audit defense on your taxes or something could have more of that like stern, serious, like protector fighting for you in your corner kind of a feel, right? So these would be really different mood wise than the typical what we think of as like advertising and like really upbeat and happy, right? So, um, yeah, so what's maybe something you can think of that has more of like a different emotion that's like a real thing that you can think of?
In the commercial world.
Yeah,
Um, Maybe I don't know, like things that are geared towards children.
sure. Yeah.
Just a different. They have a different feel than maybe like adult content. Um, I'm trying to think. Or I don't know. I think more like luxurious brands.
Mm, okay, that's a good one. Yeah, more luxury brands. So can you think of like an example of a luxury brand that has a little bit of a different feel for a particular commercial?
Um, I probably like I feel like I'm just like out of it because I don't watch like actual TV anymore.
I know, same.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
the
it's
brand.
funny. I think back and I'm like, you know what? I think I was a little bit weird. I always really like enjoyed commercials as a kid. I thought they were fun. Um,
Yeah, well, sometimes I'm like they did such good work. They were so funny, all the time. And
hmm
but I mean, I feel like a lot of car commercials they try to give you the luxurious feel, like Cadillac or Porsche,
hmm
And then I don't know, it's just like maybe spas, maybe.
Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I found a couple that I think would work well. One is for I think a like a can yeah, a candle company. And then I think the other one they're talking about like fabric and things. I
Jewelry.
think it could be I'm feeling like it's more of like a furniture brand.
What about like watches or jewelry? Like I feel like just trying to think of
Sorry, it buffered for just a moment there, but I heard the beginning of that. So yeah, why don't you take a look at the first couple that I put into the chat there, and I'm gonna look for a couple more that have a little bit of a different feel than that like typical like go to the amusement park. This car is the one you've dreamed about, you know? Come vacation in the mountains or whatever, like try these snacks, healthy and delicious,
I don't see anything about snacks in the ones that you have sent me.
No,
So,
I did not send that. Yeah. So a little bit of variety is what we're looking
oh, okay.
for. So why don't you pick one of the ones that I sent through to start with?
All right. Okay, yep. This is going to be a little bit nostalgic.
Yeah.
Okay. Remember the smell of salt in the air, bread in the oven? The way Grandma's apron always had a little flour on it, or the feeling of falling asleep on the couch, wrapped in the same blanket every Sunday. Back then, life had a rhythm. Seasons came and went like old friends, and home wasn't just a place, it was a feeling. We can't rewind time, but we can bring pieces of it with us at hearth and tide. Every candle is hand poured, every linen hand stitched, every piece designed to hold a memory of warmth, of comfort, of the way things used to be.
Okay. Yes. All right. So yeah, it has a little bit more there, but I thought that was a good stopping point for us to just kind of talk a little bit about this. So tell me, what is this brand and what is it that's the item that we're trying to advertise?
And clearly, it's these special candles with hand stitched linen candles.
Yeah. Okay. Um, so who do you think is your target audience here?
I think probably a 30 to 60-year-old females probably thinking about home, thinking about relaxing, thinking about, you know, I don't know, the olden days and um, trying to unwind.
Okay, yeah, nice. And so what do you think is kind of the type of person that would embody what this particular commercial needs.
Well, I feel like, I mean, you don't want to sound too young because we're talking about back then. Um, and yeah, so I would say like a mature, um, but sweet.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So it's mature but sweet at the same time. So a little bit more complexity there. So what would you say are maybe some of the main words that we want to lean into, bring out more?
Well, I mean, because this is a candle, and I didn't know that until I finished reading it. Yeah, the smell, right, of salt in the air, and I mean, the home. Um, I don't know. I think to me, the things that that remind you of a candle in a way, maybe we should be like focusing on those.
Yeah, okay, nice. So, so really descriptive words. They're giving you really descriptive things here that we can play with that are going to kind of evoke memories or incorporate other senses, right? The smell of salt in the air or the smell of bread in the oven, right? Grandma's apron, falling asleep wrapped in the same blanket every Sunday, right? Um, and I kind of see this, they're targeting this towards a little bit older audience because they're going nostalgic, right? They're saying like remember when, you know? Um, and they're talking about um like the rhythm of life and old friends. If you're pretty young, you don't have a chance to have old friends yet, right? Um, and they're trying to say, like, with our candles, you're gonna get that feeling of home back. Um, so really playing those things up, the warmth, the comfort, right? Um, so yeah, so evoking some of those feelings. And I think I probably would go with a more warm vocal tone, um, maybe a little bit slower speech pattern here than other commercials. So really evoking that like cookies fresh out of the oven warmth kind of feel. Yeah.
So when you say a warm tone, like what are you doing with your voice to make it sound warm?
Great question. Yeah. So with that, my vocal folds themselves, I'm going to have less pressure on the closure of those lining up together. If it's more pressurized, I get a different kind of sound. So I want a lighter pressure, so that it has a feeling of kind of ease through it. I also want to think more of like an open space in the back of my mouth, kind of like a yawn or like a surprised feeling. Kind of lifted open feel back here. And that's going to give me a richer, more resonant sound, because the sounds I can kind of like vibrate into this open cavern and it creates a little bit of a different sound quality. And then my lip shape, I can make a little bit more rounded, and that's going to give me a little bit more of a warm tone as well. Um, so if you think like generally American English is a bit brighter because we tend to make more of a smiley kind of shape, a little bit wider and more spread. Whereas like in Great Britain, they tend to have a warmer tone where it's more rounded and tall all the time, right? So just that lip shape can make a big difference there. So I'm thinking if I was, for instance, going to be more of like your average American sound, it's a little bit more wide and spread. The tongue position tends to be a little more forward in the mouth. We tend to have a little bit more pressure on the vocal fold closure. And so it becomes a little bit of a brighter sound. Whereas if I go to more of a British pronunciation, I'm going to have that lighter connection here, a little area, a little bit more open back here and a bit more rounded in the lips. So I can do those things without changing to that British pronunciation, and I get a more rounded, warm kind of feeling. Remember the smell of salt in the air and bread in the oven? The way Grandma's apron always had a little. Ooh, it's a longer phrase. I got to take a bigger breath there, right? So, those kind of things where I need to go, oh, it's a longer phrase. Maybe I need to breathe. Or maybe I give myself a place to pause, right? But if I want to do it all connected, I need to think, oh, I need a bigger breath there. The way Grandma's apron always had a little flower on it, or the feeling of falling asleep on the couch, right? So that can be a bit warmer, but if I wanted, I can go brighter. Remember the smell of salt in the air and bread in the oven? The way Grandma's apron always had a little flower on it, right? That's a little bit brighter sound. So we can play with just kind of the texture and the quality of the sounds. And by changing the shapes that we send the air through and those vibrations through, we can get a little different quality. So I would say a little more rounded, a little bit slower. I might think a little bit more lyrical, like a little more gliding, kind of like a sing-songy kind of feel where it's all smooth and connected through, almost like the feeling of a lullaby, right? Um, so let's go ahead and try that one again.
Remember the smell of salt in the air and bread in the oven? The way Grandma's apron always had a little flower on it, or the feeling of falling asleep on the couch, wrapped in the same blanket every Sunday. Back then, life had a rhythm. Seasons came and went like old friends, and home wasn't just a place, it was a feeling. We can't rewind time, but we can bring pieces of it with us. At hearth and tide, every candle is hand poured, every linen hand stitched, every piece designed to hold a memory, warmth of comfort, of the way things used to be.
Nice. Yeah. And then there would be a little pause, and they say you'd have the sound of a match striking with a soft exhale. And then and they might actually have you do that exhale feeling like a little like sigh, just a gentle like right? Like at ease kind of a feeling. So you could try it could be like you lit the candle and then you blow it out, or it could be a little kind of a feeling. They might have you do that as well. And then you do that little tagline, like a ba 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 ba, I'm loving it, like those little taglines. So bring home the feeling, hearth and tide, where memory lives. So it seems like because they did Hearth and Tide, that's the name of the brand. And then Where Memory Lives is their little like slogan that they're playing up. So I would say those two parts are going to be your biggest, most important components and really emphasizing those. Yeah. So let's try that little soft exhale, like you just settled in on the couch with your candle and you're just breathing in, and you settle in and you just get cozy with it and say those last few lines there.
Hmm. Bring home the feeling, hearth and tide, where memory lives.
Nice. Yes. Good. And you have said Hearth and Tide already, but that where memory lives, you haven't. So I might actually make more of that because I'm saying that for the first time and it is something I want them to remember, right? Because that's like the whole focal point of this entire, sales pitch here is that where memory lives, or where memory lives, or where memory lives. Do I want it to be like maybe we thought those days are gone and we don't have that house anymore, but it lives on? Like what do I want to emphasize? So you could play with kind of accenting where or memory or lives and see, what you like best with that, but really spotlighting that Hearth and Tide is still important. They gave us periods there. So that means we're going to have a longer pause. Bring home the feeling. Pause. Hearth and Tide. Pause. Where memory lives. Pause, right? So I'm gonna really take time on this spot. The rest I think of more as like a monologue that it all kind of flows together. But then here it's like these important little bullet points for each of those three lines there at the end. So this part I would say is really like summarizing the entire commercial. And the thing is, they might use all of it for some things, and then they might shorten it, and make it like a much smaller one and utilize this last little part. They might just have, like a match lighting and a picture of a candle being lit. And then, like, a picture of an actor just like settling into a chair with a fuzzy blanket and some hot tea with their candle burning in their cozy living room next to a fire. And then your voice goes, bring home the feeling, hearth and tide, where memory lives. Maybe they like have a picture of their family on the coffee table next to the candle or something. So they might boil it down to just that. So I think these three have to be really, really strong. So try those last three lines one more time and try that little sigh into it for me too.
Bring home the feeling, Hearth and Tide, where memory lives.
Nice. Okay, good. Yes. Excellent. Yeah. So I feel like the rest of it has more of that like ease and flow and warmth. And then here it is. Those kind of like little tagline moments always are going to feel a little more like, oh, this is a little advertisey, salesy feeling, but we don't want the audience to feel that way. So we do everything we can to not make it feel that way for them. Um, so if you can kind of like give yourself an emotional context, it kind of helps. If you're like, okay, I'm gonna like think if I actually was at home, like curled up with my, mug of hot cocoa on a cold winter's night, and I'm like listening to carols and remembering happy holiday memories with family or something, that kind of feel. Yeah, so this is one kind of vibe. Um, I feel like the next one is a little bit similar, so maybe we skip the nocturne one. Could we take a look now for some contrast? Let's look at the one that is the Blackstone and Veil. So that's the third one. It says sound, a steady heartbeat, low strings begin to build, footsteps echo in a marble hallway, voiceover firm, grounded, calm authority. So this one has a very different kind of energy. Um, so Blackstone and Veil is a law firm. So you're gonna you're gonna be that firm, grounded, calm authority figure that they need that has all the answers that, um, you know, we fight for truth. We don't back down. We're protecting the rights of individuals, families, businesses, right? So yeah, so and powerful, precise, relentless. So you're going to be really strong and protective and fierce here. Yeah. Be that like, you're like, I'm the bodyguard you need. So let's go ahead and try this one.
When everything is on the line, you need more than advice. You need someone who will stand their ground, someone who knows the system and isn't afraid to challenge it. At Blackstone and Vale, we don't deal in empty promises, we build cases. We fight for truth, and we don't back down. For over 25 years, we've protected the rights of individuals, families, and businesses when it mattered most. In the courtroom, at the negotiating table, and behind closed doors. Your future doesn't get a second chance. Make sure you're ready the first time. Blackstone and Vale. Powerful, precise, relentless.
All right, good. So, what did you notice about this one? What really stood out to you as something that you're like, okay, this is kind of important?
I mean, to me, I wanted to be strong, but I realized that I don't know if my voice does that. So,
Ah, so what about, let's say, if who's someone that you would try to protect in life? Like, what about your son? Like, if he got a bad grade and you didn't understand why, or he was getting bullied at school, like a time when you would be really protective and strong and kind of take charge, right? Um, so kind of embodying something like that, that you go, I would fight for this person, if it was like someone I cared about or someone who can't defend themselves, right? And maybe that looks a little bit different on one person than another, right? So for me, I feel like I would probably drop my voice a little bit lower. I probably would be pretty straightforward and clear and really like mm, succinct and to the point with it. Um, I feel like I would probably accent and like kind of punch some of my words a little bit more, just to make it feel like maybe more determined or confident. So something like, when everything is on the line, you need more than advice. You need someone who will stand their ground, someone who knows the system and isn't afraid to challenge it. At Blackstone and Vale, we don't deal in empty promises. We build cases. Like I don't know, like I'm just doing a first run at it, but I feel like, if you think about when would be a time when you would stand up for yourself or stand up for someone else or be protective and try to channel that kind of an energy? Yeah. So why don't we try that again? I feel like this one can be a little bit faster than the last one because we're not at ease here. We're like ready to take action. This is like I'm ready to go. I'm like at a sporting event and I'm like, all right, we're about to it's like kickoff or like we're about to serve or like the batter's up. So it's a big moment. So we've got to be ready and dive right in. Yeah.
right. When everything is on the line, you need more than advice. You need someone who will stand their ground, someone who knows the system and isn't afraid to challenge it. At Blackstone and Vale, we don't deal in empty promises. We build cases, we fight for truth, and we don't back down. For over 25 years, we've protected the rights of individuals, families, and businesses when it mattered most, in the courtroom, at the negotiating table, and behind closed doors. Your future doesn't get a second chance. Make sure you're ready the first time. Blackstone and Veil, powerful, precise, relentless.
Okay. How did that feel?
Um, I, I was trying to be more firm, so I don't know. I felt like I tried to lower my register like you suggested. I tried to speed it up, um, and I tried to have some sense of urgency. So,
Nice. Yes. Yeah, I agree. What was maybe your favorite thing about that take? The thing that felt the most different and that you liked the best?
mm, I mean, I think I would want to do it a few more times to feel like there was something that I liked about it. But
Sure.
I think I got the tone better this time. Um, and but that's probably about it.
Okay, good. That's a good start. So that's what we want. Excellent. So then, what would you say would be, mm, if you were going to keep working on this one, what would be maybe your next step? The thing that you're like, I feel like this could help further it more.
I think this might be one of those times where I would want to envision, like, think of someone that I would try to emulate because this is not
Hmm.
exactly, I think, how I.
Right, that you're going, ugh, this is not really my normal persona or like my usual forte. So it feels a bit unusual, right? So yeah, it'd be a good time to come up with a good character inspiration, someone that you feel like fits this. So who's someone that you can think of that would be a good choice for this?
It's funny, but like maybe like Viola Davis or something. Like I
Oh,
feel
that's a great choice. Yeah.
strong, but she feels like trustworthy. I don't know.
I agree with that. 100%. Yeah. Yeah, you feel like she's very capable. She could definitely handle things, like I have no doubt in her ability. So I love that idea that, yeah, Viola Davis is a great option of a person that you could choose for this one. Yeah. Um, so yeah, maybe taking more of like the character inspiration here instead of using your own, like what's inside of you, going, okay, what, is somebody else or something that I could use to help me get into that mood more, right? Nice. I love that. Yeah. So then if you look in the chat, there are a few more. There's one. Um, it looks like Willow Haven, I think, is like where you go to have funerals or like bury people, maybe a cemetery kind of place. Then we've got Valari is a car, and then we've got uh maybe home security, central lock, yeah. And then mm, oh, this one's like a travel company. Yeah, cool. So yeah, so a few different flavors there to play with as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and save some of these that we can come back to next time as well, so we can get in more of those contrasts, these commercials that are not really like what you just normally think of as like the first thing you think of with commercials, that it's like gonna be like a happy, like, you know, toy commercial or go to the sporting event, like things that you think of that would be more like typical upbeat, peppy, happy commercials kind of a thing. Um, so yeah, these have a little bit more nuance, I'd say, to them. So yeah, so we can definitely take a look at these more again next time. And I like to, with these that are a little more nuanced, I would say. Mm, I would say that you can utilize a lot of your character work in them. So we can bring that into play here. Where before we had a lot of characters that was like, oh, this character is really different than me. What do I do? Um, so try playing with some of those ideas of like, what would I do if this was a character that I'm not very similar to? Right? And then try to embody some of those like character development qualities and incorporate some of those same tools that we used there. Okay?
Sounds great.
Awesome. Well, great work today, Shamara. Awesome. So I'll plan to see you again next time. If you want to work more on accents or anything, just let me know and we will get to that next time. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. Bye, Shamara.